In our last conversation, if you remember, we talked about 7 health mistakes that make you age faster after 60. And in today's conversation, I want to talk about the 7 changes almost everyone experiences after 60. And is this normal? Tell me, have you ever noticed as the years pass, certain things about yourself begin to change? Your sleep feels different, patience sometimes shorter, and occasionally you might catch yourself wondering, is this normal? Well, today I want to gently walk you through 7 changes that almost everyone experiences as they move through their 60s and beyond. And more importantly, why many of these changes are not warning signs, but reflections of a brain and life that have grown wiser. And let me assure you right from the start, aging is not simply a story about decline. And in many ways, it's a story about refinement. Your brain doesn't just age, it adapts. Priorities shift, tolerance shifts, and even the way you experience time begins to shift. So if you've noticed changes, you're not falling behind. You're evolving exactly as humans are designed to. So let's look at the first change. You prefer smaller gatherings. Now, there was likely a time when busy rooms felt energizing. Now, many people find themselves drawn to quieter spaces and deeper conversations. Now, this isn't antisocial, it's neurological. Because as we age, the brain becomes less interested in overstimulation and more interested in meaningful interaction. In other words, less noise, more nourishment. And that's wisdom at work. And the second change, you tire more easily from socializing. And here's something people really admit. Social energy becomes more valuable with age. You may still enjoy seeing people, but not for as long. And afterward, a little quiet time feels wonderful. Now, this isn't your world shrinking, it's your brain becoming more selective about where it spends its energy. Think of it less like losing stamina and more like developing excellent taste. And the third change, names take longer to surface. And I've discussed this topic in another video, so I won't go into too much detail here. Now, this one worries people unnecessarily. For many healthy adults, the issue isn't memory itself, it's retrieval speed. Because your brain holds decades more information than it once did. Imagine a vast library instead of a small bookshelf. And finding the right label, it might just take a little longer. But the information is still beautifully stored. Slower recall is often very normal. Change 4. Your tolerance for drama, it drops. You may notice you have less patience for conflict, gossip, or emotionally draining interactions. And this is not you becoming difficult, it's often the emergence of stronger emotional boundaries. And by this stage of life, many people recognize something profound. Peace is more valuable than being perpetually agreeable. And protecting your peace is a sign of emotional maturity. Now let me pause here and say something important. None of these changes mean you're fading, because very often they mean you're focusing. There is a great clarity that tends to arrive with age. Although nobody hands you a brochure explaining it. Now, the fifth change, you become more reflective. Many people find themselves looking back more often, not with regret, but with perspective. Your brain naturally shifts towards meaning making, and you start connecting the dots of your life story. And this is one of your brain's most sophisticated abilities. Not a weakness, it's the architecture of wisdom. Change number 6, you value time differently. Because at some point, time stops feeling endless and starts feeling precious. And this awareness often leads people to become more intentional. Who they see, what they say yes to, and how they spend their days. Far from being gloomy, this awareness often leads to richer living. Because when time feels valuable, ordinary days, well, they become less ordinary. And the 7th change is you care less about what others think. Now, this might be one of aging's greatest quiet gifts. The need for approval softens. The pressure to perform fades. And many people discover a freedom they never felt in earlier decades. A freedom to simply be themselves. And there's tremendous peace in that. So if you've noticed some of these shifts, please don't rush to label them as decline, because very often they're upgrades, signs that your brain is becoming more efficient, your boundaries clearer, your perspective wider, your life more intentional. Aging is not just about adding years, it's about adding depth. Now here's 3 simple ways to support yourself through these changes. 1, stay socially connected, but on your terms. Quality always outweighs quantity. Second thing is, keep your brain engaged. Curiosity is one of the strongest predictors of cognitive vitality. And perhaps most importantly, number 3, be kind to yourself, because you're navigating a stage of life no one is fully trained for, yet millions walk it successfully. Now, if you recognize yourself in some of these changes, you're in very good company. Aging is not a problem to solve, it's a transition to understand. And often, when we understand it, we stop fearing it. We start respecting it. And I'd love to know, which of these changes have you noticed most? Tell me in the comments. I read every one, and your experience help others realize that they're not alone. And if you value calm, honest conversations about aging well, consider subscribing and joining us. Because growing older may be inevitable, but growing wiser is something we can all do together. So stay curious, stay safe, and be kind to yourself. And thanks for spending some time with me here today. I'm Robbie from Life on the Lockyer, Life After 60. And if you're not quite ready to leave, I've chosen the next conversation for you. And I think you'll be glad you watched it. And I'll see you there.